Welcome to another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. If not the most beautiful car of all time, and many people believe it is, certainly one of the most beautiful cars of all time. This is a 1937 Talbot-Lago 150 SS. Talbot is one of those companies that had a rather tortured history. They were with Duroc and a few other companies, and then a man named Lago. He was in the Italian Air Force. He was an engineer. He helped develop the pre-selector gearbox. He teamed up with Talbot, and they built this car, one of the most beautiful cars in the world. Sadly, the car does not belong to me. It has been the longtime ownership of my good friend Peter Mullin. He does the Mullin Museum in Oxnard, California. He has the most beautiful French cars in the world. If you're ever out here in Southern California, you must see this museum. It really is just an amazing, amazing array of cars as artwork. Peter, come on in. Good to see you, my friend.
How are you, Jay?
Good to see you. And Peter is he's not one of these guys that came late to the game. He's a real enthusiast. You've had this car for over 30 years, right?
30 years, yeah.
I can't imagine what it cost 30 years ago. It must. This is probably one of the greatest investments you ever made, isn't it?
It was over a couple of $1,000s there.
Well, there you go. But really, it's amazing how much cheaper. When you look at Road and Track from the 80s and you go, oh my God, why didn't I buy that when I was 11? You know, gosh, I should have done that. But is this the original color of the car?
No, the original color was blue.
Okay.
But this aubergine eggplant color is a color that Fagoni loved in the period, and several of the teardrop Talbots embraced that color. So
this was done by Fagoni and Falaschi, am I saying that right?
Fagoni and Falaschi.
Fagoni and Falaschi,
Right.
There we go, yeah. Certainly some of the most brilliant designs of all time. And how many teardrops did they build?
They made 14 teardrops, but 9 of the coupes.
Now, Lago, interesting man. He was an engineer, correct? I think this has what, 4-liter engine with a Hemi head in it?
4-liter Hemi head, that's right.
Okay, and that was him. And the pre-selector gearbox, explain to people exactly what that is and how it works.
Well, the pre-selector is called a Wilson pre-select, and it's kind of a genius idea, which is it's a mechanical gearbox, but you drop the box into the next gear that you want. So you anticipate your next shift. You drop it in, you don't do anything, you just wait until you're ready. And then when you put your clutch in and take it back out, it automatically drops into the gear that you wanted. So it's kind of a quasi-automatic, that is to say, you pre-select what you want.
Right, because I know the Cord has a pre-selected gearbox, but that's vacuum and electrically operated. This one is strictly mechanical?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a similar one called a Cotal that was electric operated, but this is purely mechanical on a complicated set of gears.
It's interesting because Cotal was French, and this is a French car. You think they would have used the Cotal rather than the Wilson box. I wonder why they did it that way.
Well, Delahaye used the Cotals actually in the same period. The Cotals are a little more complicated because when they're kind of a wound electrical current, so when they went bad, where this you could take it apart, and it's a complicated set of gears, but you could fix it anyway.
Right. And they would race with these too, although these gearboxes were heavier than a standard gearbox, but a lot of the drivers liked them because you could keep your hand on the wheel and you could be in the middle of a turn, hit the clutch, and you would shift, so you didn't have to reach down and take your hand off the wheel.
Well, as a matter of fact, Jay, as you know, I race 2 different Talbots, also a 150 pre-war Talbot, and then a post-war Type 26. Both of those have Wilson pre-selects, and they're fantastic to race because I see a corner coming up, I drop it into second gear, I wait for the corner, put on the brakes, get on the gas, come out of the corner, pop the gearbox, I'm in second, I'm coming out. So instead of double clutching like you got to do with a Bugatti, like some of your cars, it's much easier.
Yeah, you know, there's old Bugattis, those crummy old things. Those
wow,
are. Yeah, you don't
not
do
so
those.
Crummy.
I know what you mean. And of course, and it frees up the floor too, so you don't have a big gear shift in the middle of the floor, which is a huge deal back in the day. Let's just look at the lines of this car. Just look at it for a minute. Just the use of chrome here. Cars have never looked this good ever again. This is the golden age to me of car design, this whole Art Deco period. You know, this car will stop traffic at any point in history, from 1930 for the next 300 years, because nothing looks like this. And yet, it looks like something that could be designed today. I mean, it's flowing, and it's aerodynamic, and it's reasonably modern. I mean, if you made this now, nobody would say, oh, what an old-fashioned looking car. It still looks fantastic.
It could be a concept car from 2016.
Exactly.
Or it could be a 1937 Goat Doe.
Right, exactly.
Teardrop. One of the things that struck me, and you said it earlier, Jay, that I mean, I'm totally biased on this subject, but I think actually this is the most beautiful French car made. But if you say, well, why do you think that? Just looking at it, every line is curving, and every curve is a complex curve, meaning it goes both directions at the same time. And they were called the teardrop, and the reason is that the perfect shape in nature is a teardrop or a raindrop coming out of the sky. And so Claude Fagoni, Joseph Fagoni, his father, they looked at that. They said, why should we try to improve on nature? Nature already did the most beautiful form, the teardrop or the raindrop. So they copied that. So you see all these curves everywhere through the car, and they're all reminiscent of a raindrop. So all the great French cars of the 30s, you'd have the Delage, the Delahaye, the Talbot-Lagos, the Bugattis, and they were all racing at the same time. They were all looking at each other's cars. And so it'd be hard to not look at a beautiful Bugatti and get something in your head that said, the next time I design a car, I'm going to follow that line.
Well, this is actually cleaner, because as you can see, the Bugatti over there has a spine that runs down it, whereas this is actually a cleaner design. Now, this car also was, and it's very romantic. There was a racing car driver, as I remember, that won a $10,000 bet with this car. Tell us that story.
Well, it's a fellow by the name of Freddie McAvoy, who was a race car driver. He also was the 1936 Olympic bobsled champion.
Okay.
He worked for Tony Lago and for Talbot, kind of a man for all seasons.
Right.
Very attractive guy. Anyway, he was having drinks with Barbara Hutton one time, and he made her a bet that he could take this car and drive from Paris to Nice in under 10 hours. Now, Paris to Nice is a long way, and it's all back crossing roads up through the Maritime Alps.
And this is back in the 30s.
In the 30s, in early 40s, actually.
Yeah.
He said he could do it in under 10 hours, which was virtually impossible. She bet him $10,000, which was real money at the time.
That's like,
I know, that's a lot of money.
that's like $400,000 now?
Maybe more, actually.
Yeah.
And so he took that bet, and he drove this by himself, Paris to Nice, in 9 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Collected the $10,000. So it's a great story. And of course, he collected it from Barbara Hutton, so that's a great story.
And she was the Woolworth heiress, correct?
Yeah, she was, yeah.
So that was sort of just rich people stuff.
Yeah.
But just amazing. And then driving the car as it was intended to be driven hard as a race car.
Two of these, Jay, raced in Le Mans. Not this car, but in 1938 and in 1939, teardrop Talbot-Lagos, the 4-liter Hemi head engine, both raced at Le Mans. So,
let me ask you about Fagoni and Falaschi. Was there one person responsible, or was this a team effort at that design firm?
Fagoni was a brilliant designer.
Okay.
And like many brilliant artists, he wasn't much of a businessman because he was focused on design.
Right.
And Falaschi was a businessman, and so they partnered up, and Falaschi ran the books, and Fagoni designed the cars.
Okay.
And they made history, really.
Yeah, well, they really did. I mean, it's just such a beautiful car. Before we look under the hood, let's come around to this side. Now, when you change a tire, does this whole, I imagine this whole skirt comes off.
This whole skirt pops off. But the fact that that's that beautiful covered skirt, and it doesn't just end right there like a typical skirt. It runs all the way back to the tail.
Yeah.
So that's just another elegant little piece.
Look at the beautifully sculptured taillight. And this is what those guys did well, this use of chrome. I mean, Anybody else did this, it would look vulgar and crass, but they knew to put just enough so it really accents the car.
Just how much
beautifully.
not to use.
Yeah, right, exactly. I love this chrome piece here. Look how beautifully done that is. That's all one piece. And Lago Special. So there was a regular, the special meant what?
Well, the fastback slope instead of the notchback.
Can we open the trunk? Have you got the?
Sure.
Not a lot of room for luggage, just your spare tire. But God, just the most beautiful car. And those are signal lights up there?
Yeah, trafficators that pop out with a little...
they're full traffic. Oh, they
yeah.
come out this way. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, very cool. Very cool, nicely done. Let's go back over this way. We'll take a look at the inside of the car. Look how delicate this is. You press that there, and what, push down?
Then, yeah, down. And then pull out.
There we go. Oh, there we go, okay. Oh, man. Look how nicely detailed this car is. Beautiful chrome in here. Certainly one of the most beautiful dashboards of all time. That really is just lovely. I wonder if that's where Cord got the idea. They sort of had, Cord and Duesenberg also had a sculpted dashboard like that, or engine turned, I guess you call it.
Engine
right?
turned, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could well have been, but this is really finely engine turned. You see each one of those spun metal is an individual.
I know, just one mistake, jump, and you got to start the whole thing all over again. Start all over again. I like the black on white dials as opposed to the other way around. And notice how the windshield opens up too. I like this period before air conditioning, where they try to get as much air in the car as possible. And you just turn that, you open your windshield a little bit, and you get a nice breeze. Beautiful steering wheel. What an unbelievable car this is. And it's a 4-speed, correct? Not a 3-speed.
Yeah,
4-speed,
yeah.
yeah. And this just shuts. There you go, nice and solid. Can we look under the hood?
Sure.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Mechanical fuel pump, 3 carburetors, Hemi head, wow. 4 liters, is that what it is?
4 liter.
Okay.
So it's this cross flows with the 3 carburetors on this side and exhaust on the other side. And so you get that cross flow against that Hemi head, which develops 140 braking horsepower, which was a big deal in the late 30s.
And what do we have here? Is this a tool for the jack?
Yeah, it's a little tool for the jack that fits in there so you don't lose it.
Okay, very cool. But look how nicely done all this is. Who developed this engine? Now, Antonio Lago, he took the existing engine and then modified it. Is that what it was? Okay.
He did when he bought the company, the Talbot company, which he bought from England and called it Talbot, put the French pronunciation on it, and then added his own last name to it, Lago. And then he hired the chief engineer, whose name was Walter Becchia, and that's who developed this. Actually, they developed this 4-liter engine for racing, and then they put it into these sports coupes.
Because Talbot was one of those companies that kept getting bought and sold, right? It was with Duroc, then it was with somebody else.
Sunbeam.
Sunbeam had it for a while, and then Lago bought it. Cool, let's close it up. And the front end is just stunning. I mean, most car manufacturers or lesser car designers just would have put the headlights here, as they usually did out in the fender. But to put them inboard like this and then have the grills over them, really different, really showing unusual thinking. It's really just fantastic. I notice it's just Talbot here, no Lago, right?
Right.
And then he has Lago in the back, which we saw earlier. But the knife edge fenders here and the covered grille, really something.
Well, and that faired-in headlight there, which allows for the lines just to continue to run all the way down through the bottom of the car without being broken by, a piece of gear, is another focus on design that was pretty special.
Yeah, it's a real piece of artwork. I always remember reading remember Edward G. Robinson, the actor?
Sure.
I remember as a kid, he bought some painting in an alcove put in his house. And the painting in the alcove, and he would come home every night with a glass of wine and stare at his painting. And I go, what an idiot. Why would you stare at a painting all day? That seems pretty stupid. But I could look at this car for hours. I mean, I could see, you can go in the garage, and your eye always falls to some part you didn't really see before. You can look at this car for a million times and still see something you didn't see before. Like what you just said before, I didn't realize every part of this car is curved. There's no flat part anywhere on this. Everything appears to be in motion all the time. Just beautifully, beautifully done.
In fact, Jay, it's probably subconscious on my part, but I used to go sit with this car and a couple of others with a glass of wine and look at it, and that's probably why it came out this color.
Yeah.
And that little glass
of
burgundy.
wine or bottle? I think it's a bottle of wine, really.
It might have been a bottle.
I think it's a bottle. I think the glass.
Yeah.
The glass is probably. You have to do the whole bottle. And of course, you got the fitted luggage. You got to have fitted luggage. And it's got the nameplate down there.
That's the Fagoni badge. Yep.
Fagoni badge. Yeah. And of course, all his cars were right-hand drive, except the last one, which he made for the American market. Isn't that correct?
Right. All the pre-war French cars were right-hand drive, even though they did not drive on the other side of the street. So it was, long debates about exactly why that was. One argument is because all the racetracks were clockwise, and the drivers always wanted to be on the inside of the racetrack, which makes a lot of sense.
That's interesting.
The other argument, which wouldn't have been appropriate for this car, but was that cars that were chauffeur-driven, they're a right-hand drive. They pull up to the curb on the right, and the driver could jump out, go to the back, open up the door for the lady, and she could step across onto the dry sidewalk and miss all the stuff in the street.
Right, yeah, that's interesting. Can we take it for a ride?
Yeah. You want to take it for a ride?
Let's take it for a ride. Okay, we're in the car, ready to go for a ride. Beautiful steering wheel. Let's go over everything. Of course, these are the two vents to open the windshield. You unscrew those. Starter button.
Yep.
What is this red light here?
That goes on when we have a problem.
Oh, okay. What do you have? Oil pressure?
Oil.
Gasoline?
This is,
yeah.
Heat, that's oil pressure.
Oh, oil pressure. I see oil pressure, yeah.
And one's oil temp.
Oil temperature, oil temperature and oil pressure.
Here's
okay.
Gasoline over here.
Gasoline there.
Here's the charge.
Right. Clock. Tachometer, of course, speedometer and kilometers. This is what, for trafficators?
That's for the windscreen. Windshield wipers.
Windshield wipers, okay. This is?
That's the ignition.
Right.
This is the choke.
Choke. Fuel pump.
Yep.
And this is what? Your lights, high and low beam, whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay. Turn on the fuel pump. Hit the starter. Sounds good. Now when you pull away, there's neutral. Okay. No, that's not it. Let's see. Not neutral either. All right. Let's see. So you put it in first gear, and you pull away just as you would in a normal car. Okay, let's try our pre-selected gearbox. Move it down to second, hit the clutch. Doesn't seem to be shifting, does it?
That clutch all the way to the floor.
Yeah. All the way to the floor. Doesn't want to shift, does it? Let me see, try you seem to be stuck in one gear. All the way to the floor. Flip it. Well, the car's running fine. I mean, temperature, oil, pressure, all that. We've been idling for a long time. Doesn't get hot, but there seems to be a little problem with the gear selector. Doesn't seem to be selecting the gears properly, so can't seem to get out of first gear, but I'm sure that's an easy fix. Good thing it didn't happen in that 10-hour race. You would have been screwed, huh?
That's true.
There's your traffic hater.
Took it on that Louis Vuitton rally in Europe, and
Ran okay?
it ran great. Took it on a 1,000-mile rally through
Wow.
the Swiss Alps. It was fantastic, so I'm not sure what happened here. Well, that's disappointing, but
Yeah, well, it's
we'll
all right.
figure it out.
I think people get to see the car and they see it moving. Imagine seeing this in your rearview mirror. How cool would that be? Well, as you can see, we had a little bit of trouble with the gearbox, which is a shame. The car didn't overheat. Oil pressure's good. Everything's good. It seems to be stuck in first gear, so that's a mechanical problem. But Peter drives this car. You just went on, what, 1,000 miles?
1,000-mile rally. Yeah.
1,000-mile rally in Europe with this thing all through the hills, and it worked fine, but we just had a little problem today. Well, that happens. This is what, you know, we film these things in real time. Whatever happens, happens. But as you can see, that certainly does not detract from the value of the car, because when you use a car, things happen once in a while. And that's what's great about Peter. He actually drives all this stuff, and it looks like a museum piece, but it's not. This is a real driver's car. He just did a 1,000-mile rally in Europe, and now we got a little bit of trouble with the gearbox, but we'll get that sorted out. So I hope you enjoy seeing this amazing piece of history. And please, get out to the Mullin Museum in Oxnard, California. I don't even think in France they have as many beautiful Bugattis as he has out there, and other French cars. So Peter, thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
You bet, Jay. Pleasure to be here.
See you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.